Hello, I am Chelsea Lawler with the Chelsea L team and Sutton Group Professional Realty here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. That was a mouthful, but what we're really here to talk about today is the different ways that you can be represented by a realtor. So, there's a major difference between how you would be represented as what's called a client versus a customer. You want to be in a client relationship, which gives you full representation and confidentiality. And that way there's somebody fighting on your side of the transaction. But let's quickly talk about how you could find yourself in a customer relationship and maybe not even realize what's going on. So, if you're going out on a Sunday or whatever day it may be, and let's say you're stopping into an open house and you fall in love with a house, this agent, if it's the same agent that has their face on that sign in the front yard, they are representing the seller. Their number one focus and legal obligation is to work in the seller's best interest. So that realtor can only facilitate the transaction for you, meaning they're just going to ask you, how would you like me to fill out this paper? They'll ask you questions, but they cannot give you their advice. And advice is really important. I actually had a client call me the other day. I call them a client. Actually, they're not a client yet. It's somebody that I've had a relationship with and probably going to be a client. They're a friend overall, but they didn't realize, and they put in an offer on a property with the listing agent. So they're calling saying, oh, I wanted to talk to you about our offer. And I was like, unfortunately, I actually can't give you advice because you're definitely not in a relationship and contract with myself. But just so you know, you're not being represented. That agent is fully representing the seller. And they were like, you know what, it's become very clear that that is happening and we're totally uncomfortable with that, and therefore we are just going to let our offer expire. They called it a decent time where they weren't already locked into something, but it just goes to show that it's not entirely clear unless that agent has made it very clear what type of relationship you are in. Yes, you're required to sign documentation, but it depends on how it's explained to you. So you just want to make sure that you're covering your buns and you're going out and finding an agent who can fully represent you in the transaction. The market is ever changing, and therefore you want somebody who's going to be an expert in that area and also in the marketplace. Also, one more thing I'll throw in there is most times you don't actually even need to pay for representation on the buyer side, and it's already covered by the seller side. So that's something to talk about as well. If you ever have any questions, we are so happy to explain anything else to you guys that you may need, and hopefully we'll be chatting with you in the future.